Happy Monday. Come on and join me. I'll give it a couple of minutes and I'm going to dive on in. Hope you've had a wonderful day. Yes, yes, yes. Hope you've had a wonderful day. As you join, say hello to me. And then hit your share, tag, and invite someone to join us tonight. Hello, hello, hello. How you doing? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Yes, yes, yes. You might want to get pen and paper. I'm going to share some things with you, some good nuggets tonight. Share some good nuggets with you tonight. Yep. All right. Well, happy Monday to you. Definitely share, tag, and invite others to join the platform tonight. Monday motivation, of course, we're just a couple of minutes behind, but thank you for joining tonight. I was on earlier and I was talking a little bit about circles. And hey, Stephanie, how are you? Thanks for joining. I was talking about circles and making changes in this season. And just making sure that we are definitely aware of what it is that we are encompassed in, our circle, the people that are around us. Not to say that those people are not good people, but in fact, it just is going to require a different circle of people in this season to help you to get where it is you're trying to go. And so with that, it comes, number one, with us making changes. And, you know, this thing of change has also been a theme that has been running this weekend. There was a message shared about changes, and then there were 12 types of changes that the individual talked about. Good message, something to really think about. And I want to kind of jump on that bandwagon of change because it's so important. Because many of us who are business owners or leaders in our communities or whatever it is that we do, it's important for us to be on the cusp and cutting edge of what is happening in this season and in this time. So that's professionally, that's personally, for whatever it is that you may be doing. It's important that you're thinking, you're evolving, you're changing in the way you handle things, because I'm telling you, things are changing all the time. Technology is changing. How we do things, how we process things are changing, and it's an ever going thing. And so it's important that we get our minds wrapped around what it is that we need to change, how we need to look at things, which is one reason why I so encourage pen to paper as a process. Because once you get pen to paper and you really write out where you are, where you're trying to go, and then you look at what's going to need to happen to help you get there, then you can start to chart your course, right? Develop the goals that are going to be essential for where it is that you're trying to go. So I want to talk a little bit about changing our thinking and thinking habits and different things like that. And we'll probably be on this a couple of weeks because I kind of want to talk through some of the things that has been lifted in a book called How Successful People Lead. And that's a book by John Maxwell. You know, for those of you who have been following me for any time, know that's one of my favorite leadership writers. And so I kind of go back to this particular writing quite often and just reassess some things, because it's always important for us to assess our thinking, where we are and how we're thinking about what we're doing. Not only that, we have to be strategic thinkers, because things that the way they were processed and 20 years ago is certainly not how things are being processed in today's time. And so we definitely have to make sure that we are always thinking and preparing ourselves for the next thing, right? So one of the things that he talks about when it comes to the three things I kind of want to hit on, and then I'm going to touch on a few other things. But challenging yourself to change your thinking is important, because thinking can do a lot of different things. And for those of us who are business owners like myself, I'm always thinking about something. I'm thinking about how I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm being creative, and I'm thinking about how that creativity can impact my life, how it can impact the life of others. So when you're thinking, the important thing about it is, when you're thinking, you need to also make sure that you are putting pen to paper when you're thinking, so that those thoughts get to paper. Because what so oftentimes happens to us is that we're thinking, but we're not writing. And so we don't get a chance to document those thoughts and then act upon those thoughts, and really analyze the thinking and then execute on the thoughts that we've had. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the thinking process, because I think he writes a very good perspective that will help us as we're moving into this new season. So 3 things that thinking will do. And I so agree with what he shared. And I know that there are others, but these are 3 things. Number 1, thinking will generate income, revenue. Because if we're thinking about what our purpose is, we think about what our passion is, our creativity, all those things coincide with what you do every day, or a business you may own, or a business you want to start. And so how you think about your creativity, how you think about the gift that's in you, how you think about your purpose is very, very important. And the elements that surround the thinking of what you do and your creativity will generate revenue if you, in fact, document the thought process behind it. And so you don't want to leave no stone unturned. Whatever you think about, jot it down. It does not have to have a complete dialogue for it to be a thought. And so whatever comes to mind, write it down. And sometimes things are developed over time. You put down the bone and the meat will come later. How about that? So it's important that you capture your thoughts. And I say the same thing about capturing your voice, because when you're speaking, sometimes things come out. I know sometimes I'm sharing, and there are things that just ooze out, that things are just shared that I say. And sometimes I have to stop myself and say, hold on, let me write that down, because I never said it before. So it's not like it's something I'm repeating. It's something I said for the very first time. And so I want to capture my voice, because that may be something that comes in a different form or fashion, or I may be able to utilize it at a different time. So number 1, thinking and good thinking will help to create revenue. Number 2, it will solve problems, because the thing about whatever your gift is, whatever your passion is, whatever it is that you're created to do, solves a problem for somebody else. Whoever that is, whatever that is, you solve a problem for somebody else, and you have to tap into what that is. And once you tap into what that is, we're going to talk about what other kind of thinking you need to have to make that very beneficial for you. And not only that, but for that to increase your life. Okay, so we got generating revenue, we got solving problems is something that thinking does. And then the other thing that he also shares is creates opportunities, because so oftentimes if we don't think ourselves to a particular thing or about, even the scripture says to us, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. We have to will ourselves, think ourselves. If you don't think you can do a thing, guess what? You won't do it. And so you have to really be a strong, confident person in your thoughts. Thought lives are a real thing. So a thought life is a real thing. And so your thinking matters. If you have negative thinking, it's going to derail your progress and your success. If you have positive thinking, you have to continue to channel that and channel your positive thinking with someone else who is a positive thinker. But you also have to have these other elements that coincide with it. So thinking and good thinking can help us to generate revenue, number 1. Number 2, solve problems. And number 3, create opportunities, both personally and professionally. So think about, how you function on your current job. If you work for corporate, you're not a 100% entrepreneur. Think about how you function in your current organization. What is it? Have you thought about how you could further impact what it is that you do? Have you thought about what it is that you do every day? How is it that you can further impact your department? Or if you can, think of something that would create opportunities for you in your department and what you do, or even just create an opportunity possibly for promotion or what have you. So, thoughts are important. When you think of those things, definitely write those things down. So those were 3 things that I wanted to share. I thought those were good nuggets. Then he talked about change thinking. For so many of us, This is what we need to go into this decade with a trajectory of success, seeing ourselves, seeing the really big picture of where it is we want to go as entrepreneurs, as ministry leaders, as leaders in the community, nonprofit organization leaders, whatever it is that you desire to do, whatever it is that you're a part of. How is it that I'm going to get from where I am to where it is that I see myself being? Number one, you got to see yourself being there. So what's your vision for that? Okay. Now, change thinking is something that is going to be required because number one, we're in an ever evolving society. The atmosphere there's always opportunity for something to be different. Things are changing, right? And so you have to stay on the cusp of what that is. You have to stay in tune with what that is. But there were 3 things that he shared about change thinking that I thought was so good. And so I want to share those with you tonight. Number one, change thinking is not automatic. It's not automatic. It just does not happen because you say you want to change your thinking. And here's the deal. For many of us, we have been conditioned. We've been conditioned by tradition and familiarity and things that are common for us, that are comfort zones for us. Those are the kinds of things that have shaped our thinking over time. And so we get to places and points in our life where it's necessary that we have a different way of thinking and we use our thought life in a different way. And it is not automatic. We have to participate in order to do that. Okay. We have to participate in order to do that, which brings me to number 2. Change thinking is difficult. Why? Because we've been conditioned traditionally by, our comfort level, what is easy for us, what gives us comfort, that doesn't, rub us the wrong way, that doesn't challenge us in a way that we don't want to be challenged. It causes change thinking to be difficult. And so you have to prepare yourself to think differently, which means you have to take yourself through a process, which is why I say putting pen to paper is one of the ways to help you think differently. For instance, I was talking to someone about budgeting. Budgeting is something that, we talk about making money. We talk about having increase. We talk about, our territories being enlarged. We talk about opportunities. We talk about new opportunities. We talk about promotion. We talk about all of these things that encompass us having more income, more money. However, we never put a budget in place. Having a budget is essential for being successful because not only do you need to know what's coming in, but you need to know what's going out. And you need to know what's going out on a consistent basis. You have to sit down and you have to look at your numbers. I don't care when you go out of your house to shop, when you go to eat, when you go to church, when you go on vacation, wherever you go, when you leave your house, you need to know your numbers. What do I mean by need to know your numbers? You need to know what you have in your operating account, which is your checking account, your household account, whatever that is. You need to know what is supposed to be in your savings account, what your limit is as far as if you move anything from a savings account, what's that limit? What can you remove and what can you not remove? What can you not touch? Okay. You need to know that. Well, in all essence, you really shouldn't be touching the savings, but some people have those. That's how they kind of move their monies. So however you do it, my point is you need to know your numbers. If you're using revolving credit, you need to know what your numbers are. What room do you have on that card? If it's over the 30%, then you can't do anything. If it's under 30%, then how far can you go? You need to know your numbers because how you handle your money impacts your home, impacts your credit, impacts your success, impacts your progress. It impacts everything that you do. And so you have to know what your numbers are. And so it behooves us to get our thinking aligned with also our budgeting and how that needs to coincide with where we're trying to go and our trajectory for this year and beyond. So it's important. So that's why I say change is not automatic, number one. And number two is difficult because when you become accustomed to handling business a certain way, handling your home a certain way, handling your business a certain way, handling staff a certain way, however you do it's difficult when it's time to shift and make a change so that you can come out of a level of stagnation or just coasting to go into the next level. It always requires change to do that. You got to do something different and you got to challenge yourself to do it. Then number three, it's worth the investment. Because if you invest the time to think differently, It's going to help you to have those other three things I talked about. It's going to help you to generate income or revenue. It's going to help you to solve some problems. It's going to help you to create some new opportunities. Okay. So you got to work on the thinking process. So how we think matters. It matters, and it matters in a significant way. Because if you're going to get to these new places, if you're thinking about doing it the same way you did it last year, chances are if you didn't make it to that level last year, you're not going to make it this year. Doesn't matter about it being 2020, it could be 2025. If you do not change how you think about what you do and set some priorities in place, it will not change. If you are a business owner and you have not seen a level of success, then that means you need to take the opportunity and reassess your policies, your processes, and your procedures so that you can see what do I need to change in order to get some different results. So your policy is what you do, your process is how you do it, and your procedures are the steps you take to get it done. It's essential. It's important that whatever kind of organization you have policies, you have processes, you have procedures. If they're outdated, your progress is outdated. So it's important that these things are in place. All right. And you have to look. Here's the thing. I want to encourage you every year or even every 90 days, because things are changing so much. Every 90 days, you need to assess where you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it. Is it still relevant or is it obsolete? If it's still relevant, can it be tweaked? Is it something we can do to make sure that we function better in this particular area? If it's obsolete, we're no longer doing it. It's no longer viable. It's no longer relevant. It's no longer helping us to have productivity and success. Then we need to think about a different strategy. So that's where your strategic thinking comes in. And so as I go through this the next couple of weeks, there's some other things that I definitely want to share with you when it comes to thinking that I thought John Maxwell lifted in this writing that is so key for us in this season. And so, that's one thing about literature. It has a season and a time that it is most relevant and more than others. And I was just reading and I was like, wow, this is some good stuff. And it's a good time to recalibrate here because the thing of it is, it requires you to recalibrate on a consistent basis so that you can stay relevant in what it is that you're doing. So a few of the areas that I definitely want to move forward in over the next few weeks is cultivate big picture thinking. That's one of the things that he talks about. And so when we talk about that, when we talk about cultivating, you got to get in there, you got to improve upon it, you got to make it work. It's just like, cultivating the ground, getting the ground ready for seed. You got to till the soil. You got to make sure that it's proper and it's ready for that to happen. And so for some of us, we can't get to a big picture because we've not cultivated the ground around us. We've not cultivated the people around us. We've not prepared ourselves and created an atmosphere so that big picture thing can happen. Whatever those goals are, whatever that thing is that you set in motion for your vision, you have to make sure that you cultivate it. So you can't just put goals on paper and then you walk away from it and you do nothing else. If you don't cultivate that, then it doesn't happen, right? It doesn't come to fruition. So we got to talk about that. And then engage in focused thinking. So I've talked about focused thinking before. It's so paramount and important that you have focused thinking. Why? Because focused thinking is going to help you stay in tune with your goals and your vision. It's going to help you stay on a trajectory of where it is you're trying to go. Because what happens a lot of times is that we set goals and then we get sidetracked with other things and you never accomplish what you set out to do. You never accomplish what you set out to do because you don't have focus. And so you have to be strategic with your goals. And then you got to work it. You got to be a part of it. You got to engage in it. You got to participate in the process so that you can get to your expected end. So I want to encourage, many of you who are on this trajectory this year. It's 2020. It's a new season. It's the year of the mouth. You got to say what you see. You got to speak it. You have the authority in your mouth. But the thing of it is, if you don't do anything different than you've always done it, none of that's going to matter. Because you will not change how you're speaking about it. You will not change how you're thinking about it. And you definitely will not change how you're trying to execute it. So you got to get your thinking aligned with where it is that you're trying to go. Because if not, you're going to derail the process. And so the revelation you got, you will never make it to manifestation because the things in the middle are the same. So you got to change your thinking about how you're going to get from revelation to manifestation. So that's going to be key. Then you got to create creative thinking. And what do I mean by that? And I'm gonna share in the next couple of weeks some of the things that he lifted. But what I want to share about harness creativity is creative thinking is this. You have got to develop your craft, whatever that is. I don't care if there's sewing. You got to be the best seamstress there is. And I don't care who else is a seamstress. Hey, Veronica, I don't care who else is a seamstress. You got to be the best one. What does that mean? You got to harness and you got to hone in on your craft. That means you need to take class. That means classes. That means you need to take, you need to watch videos. You got to develop your craft. You got to develop your gift. You got to take the time. I don't care if you're a teacher, a preacher, a speaker, whatever you hone in on that. You got to make it better. You got to make your craft better. You got to make your creativity better. Whatever it is that you are good at creating, you got to do it better. Whatever that gift is, you got to do it better. So that means you got to take some time. You got to invest. You got to sacrifice. You got to sow into yourself. You got to invest into yourself. And you got to develop that creativity. You got to hone in on that craft and you got to make it better. So you got to improve upon it. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then you got to employ realistic thinking. Take yourself a little bit at a time so that you have what? Like I said last week, you have small victories along the way. You celebrate small successes along the way. Be realistic with what you can handle and in the time frame you can handle it in. Because if you overset your goal and you set a trajectory that is out of your reach, then you're going to experience failure. It's inevitable. You're going to experience failure. When you experience failure, then you want to take 4 steps back. Well, no, you set yourself up for that. So employ realistic thinking because you have to be realistic about what you have the ability to do and what you don't have the ability to do. And so this is, I was just earlier this evening watching this movie, Bad Boys. And so, of course, I'm just paraphrasing the theme. Martin Lawrence was basically saying, look, we're not 25 anymore. It's time to, shut this down and let's do something different because there are different things that you could do, and so they were doing this race. For those of you who haven't watched it, I won't tell all of it. But this particular race, they were running. It's like, okay, I can't run like I used to. One did good, the other one was like, oh, I ain't gonna make it. So at the end of the day, we have to have realistic thinking and we have to make sure that we're setting goals that help us to have victories along the way, small victories along the way. So every 30 days, every 90 days. So assess how you're doing what you're doing. Check your thinking in this season and make sure that you are being open for some different things, to changing how you think about what you're doing, evolving in your thinking, doing some things a little different because I'm telling you, it's going to require not only that, it exposes you to some other things. And I'll talk about some of those areas as well because it's important that we expose ourselves to different things because it helps us to think differently and it confirms that it's okay to think differently about some things and it's not the end of the world. So I want to encourage you to do that. So let me go back through a few of these things that I shared tonight. Number one, change thinking. Number one is not automatic. It does not happen automatic. It doesn't come FedEx or UPS. It doesn't happen automatically. You have to participate in change thinking. It is difficult because you have been conditioned and you're used to doing things a particular way. So if you're going to get to this next place, you've got to be prepared that you're going to have to do some changing in order to get there. And it's not going to be easy because you're used to doing it in your comfort zone. And then it's worth your investment. And the reason why it's worth your investment, because when you begin to change your thinking and you begin to think in a way that is strategic, and it's cultivated, it's going to generate revenue for you. It's going to help you to solve some problems and it's going to help you to create some new opportunities. All right. That's some good stuff. So listen, assess where you are and, take the time to really see, how is it that you can employ some different thinking in this season to help you get to some different places. And it's going to take you out of your comfort zone. I'm telling you, it's going to stretch you. It's going to really make you think on a different level. And so just know, change is not change until you change it. And we are in a season of change all the time. And so we have to prepare our minds for it. We have to prepare our environments for being susceptible to those things and succumbing to some different ways of thinking. Okay, so I hope this has been beneficial for you tonight. Want to remind you, for those of you who have attended Pen to Paper events before, the first event of the year, there are only 2 events this year that I am hosting. Of course, I'll be speaking in other places across the country, but the 2 events that I'm hosting this year is the Pen to Paper Women's Retreat. That's professional women, executive women, women in leadership, whatever it is that you do. It has limited capacity, so you'll definitely want to go to Pen to Paper, PEN, the number 2, paper.biz, and check that out and get registered. Or you can reserve your spot with a non-refundable deposit. That's going to be in Portland, Oregon. It is going to be amazing. We're going to do a hike while we're there that weekend. It's going to be an awesome time. I can't wait to go into the mountains. We're going to go to Monmouth Falls, which is a waterfall that is in the mountains, and there's a bridge that goes between the 2 mountains, of course, and it is one of the photos that's on the website. When you go there, you'll see it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful mountain and waterfall. So we're going to have an amazing time. The last one, women's retreat, was in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it was to capacity, and we had an awesome time. So you definitely want to join us, ladies, for the women's retreat. That's June 26th, 27th, 2020 in Portland, Oregon. So looking forward to that. You definitely want to get registered as soon as possible. And I am noticing in this season that a lot of the conferences and things of that nature, and they're selling out really quick. So you want to make sure you reserve your spot and get there. And then put on your calendar November 6th and 7th. We'll be in Dallas, Texas for the annual Pen to Paper conference. It is going to be an amazing conference this year. I have some amazing speakers lined up, and they're going to impart some amazing stuff for us. And we're going to have the young professionals that are going to be a part this year. So looking forward to that. So put those dates on your calendar. Go to the website, pentopaper.biz, and get yourself registered, and we're looking forward to seeing you at one of those events in 2020. All right, well, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Definitely feel free to share it, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here next Monday, 8:30 Central Standard Time for Monday Motivation. This is the new platform in 2020, so you will not see me on the other page. It will be on Bridget Moody Consulting, so you'll have to jump over here, follow us here, and check us out if you want to join us live. All right. Also, there's a YouTube channel, Bridget Moody, so go there and subscribe as well. We appreciate you doing that for us. Have a good week, and we'll see you back here next Monday for Monday Motivation. Have a good night. Bye-bye.